imagine a 13-year-old little girl, overweight, and I used to say chubby, but that was a nice way of saying fat. I had pimples on my face, and I'm obviously from Australia, and if you've been to Australia, a 20-cent coin is quite wide, and I could put a 20-cent coin between my two front teeth. I had these really ugly teeth. And I went to a private boarding school in Melbourne in Australia where the two prettiest girls in my school thought it was really cool to pick on me. So here's the fat girl with the pimply face and the buck teeth and chubby, and the two prettiest girls just didn't like me. And the reason I know that is they did a survey around my school. Now this is, those of you that are, I'm over 50, so those of you that are in my chronological age category, there was no Facebook. And the girls did a survey at my school that couldn't be done on Facebook, they actually did it on paper. So they sent a survey around my school, there was 450 people at my school, and the survey was, if you like Rowie, tick yes, and if you don't like Rowie, tick no. And I want you to imagine this because they were the two best looking girls in the school. They were really smart, really good at sport and really pretty. So all the boys ticked, no, we don't like Rowie, because they wanted those girls to like them, yeah? And all the girls ticked, we don't like Rowie, because they wanted to be like those girls. Now I don't know if you've ever experienced anything like that, but this fat little girl got really upset about it. And I went home from school like this and felt really sorry for myself. Closed the bedroom door, burst into tears. I don't know what you would do, but that's what girls do. However, I figured something out pretty quickly. That why would two really pretty girls who were really smart, that everybody liked, why would they want to pick on me? So I figured that they must have had some stuff going on in their life that wasn't very nice. So I decided at 13 that I was going to have a really happy life. And the reason I'm here today is because, let's just pick an average age group. Who thinks they're the youngest that's here today? Who thinks they might be the youngest? How young are you? 10? Is anybody younger than 10? So you officially have that, you are nominated. You're the youngest. What's your name? Rosie. Rosie's 10. Now who thinks they might be the oldest? K-Man's 53. So is anybody older than 53? How young are you?
I think I'm 54.
You think so? Awesome. So we've got two people contending over there, so between 10 and 54.
You can win.
So I don't think age is really important, but what I think is really important is whatever age you are, you decide that your life's going to be amazing. So I want you to picture this, and because I'm standing in front of you, I stood in front of my mirror that afternoon after the whole school had told me that they hate me on a bit of paper, because the girls literally handed me this pile of paper and said, Rowie, the whole school hates you. So I had the paper to prove it. However, I decided that I wasn't going to let that affect my life, so I stood full posture in front of my mirror. One of the things that the girls used to bully me about was I loved my school uniform. I was really proud of my school uniform. And they used to say, who do you think you are with your perfect uniform? So I stood in front of my mirror with my perfect uniform, Windsor knot tie. You had to wear a skirt down to your knees. I had a blazer, I had to wear shiny shoes. And I loved my uniform because my father taught me to be proud of it and be proud of who I was. So I looked myself in the eye in the mirror that day and I said, from this day forward, I'm going to be a powerful, passionate, positive person. Now do it with me just to get a feel for what that's like. You ready? Say it. I am a powerful, passionate, positive person. Go. I am a powerful, passionate, positive person. Now you can't say words like that and feel sad. You just can't. So the more I said it, the more my shoulders pulled back and the better I felt. But there's a big difference between saying something and actually doing it, yeah? So I decided that I would have to be that person. So I got up the next morning, put my tie on perfectly, shined my shoes even more, put my uniform on even more brilliantly, and walked into my school as a powerful, passionate, positive person. Now I walked out like this. I walked in, ready? Felt so good. Now nothing had changed. I still had buck teeth, I still had pimples on my face, I was still chubby. But I was now a powerful, passionate, positive person. And who decided that? When? How long did it take? And how old was I? A little bit older than Rosie and a little bit younger than you. And I'm asking us all to really consider what our life's going to be like, and do we get to decide? Now here's where the story gets really exciting, and why watching you today do aerobics was just mind-blowing. About 2 or 3 weeks after that happened, after that event, and I call it my life-changing event, these people came to our school, and those of you who are more my age are really going to think this is very cool. It was raining outside, free water coming out of the sky, so 450 people had to come inside to a space about as big as this one and do indoor sport instead of soccer or volleyball or tennis. And these 2 people walked into our school. The guy was wearing a full black unitard, red flop socks and a red headband. And the lady was wearing a full red unitard, lycra, black flop socks and a black headband. They were matching, male and female. Now, the boarding school that I went to in Melbourne was a religious school. You couldn't listen to rock music and you couldn't dance. So there's music that you just did exercise to, at my school was against the law. These people came into our school hall for school sport, put music on a tape deck, and if you don't know what that is, some old person will tell you what that is. And we started doing this. You ready? 450 people. Recognise it? Yep. I was so excited I put my hands. 13 years of age, still had pimples on my face, still had buck teeth, still overweight. But how does it feel when you exercise? How does it feel when you do aerobics? How does it feel? I watched your faces today. How does it make you feel? I've never felt so, I cannot express to you. My father sent me to private boarding school in Melbourne to become a lawyer. I went home that day and I said to my dad, I'm not going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be an aerobic instructor. My father could, excuse me sir, I know you're a dad. My father could speak 7 languages fluently and he swore at me in all 7. Because he didn't want me to be an exercise instructor, he wanted me to be a lawyer. But all of you, and I'm sharing this very happily and openly with you, I was 13 and I knew that day, I believe there's 2 moments in your life that are really important. Number 1 is the day you were born, yeah? That's why you celebrate your birthday, pretty important day. Just say yes, Rowie. Second most important day of your life is the day when you find out why you were born. And I was 13. Is anybody 13 today? I was the same age as you, and I knew that day that's what I was born for. I was born so that any other girl at 13 years of age with pimply face, buck teeth and overweight could feel as good as I did that day. So I was going to be an exercise instructor. I knew that the school was paying those people to teach us exercise. So I went to my school principal and I said, sir, his name was Mr. Bartlett. I said, sir, how much are you paying those people to teach us group exercise? He said, $30. Why do you ask? I said, I'll do it for 25. I was 13, that's why I'm looking at you guys. Now I only had 2 small challenges to do this. Because he said yes. He said, Rowie, if you want to do it, we'll give you the money. We'll pay you to teach group exercise to the whole school. 2 small challenges. Ever had a challenge in your life? Ever thought you had a problem you couldn't overcome? Yeah, how about this one? 450 people at my school hated me. Pretty tough when you're 13 and only in year, well, I was in year 9, to stand up in front of everybody that hated me and teach group exercise. Pretty tough. Yeah, second small challenge, had no clue how to teach group exercise. No clue. Now, you guys won't know this person, I don't think, but some of these other people might. I fell in love with a woman called Jane Fonda. She was the guru of aerobics in the end of the 70s and the 80s, a very long time ago. So I decided that I would be the best aerobic instructor ever. Like, not just good, I was going to be the best, and there's a reason for that. When your family doesn't want you to do something, when your dad wants you to be a lawyer and you want to be an exercise instructor, can you be an average one? Can you be really bad at it? It would be disrespectful, wouldn't it? I had to become the best so that that I would be proud of myself, self-respectful, but that my dad would be proud of me as well. It was important to me. So I didn't just practice exercise. I watched every single bit of that Jane Fonda video over and over and over and over again. Now the only time I got to teach group exercise was when there was free water coming out of the sky. Now luckily it was Melbourne, so it rains quite often. But I needed time to practice. But finally the day came where Mr. Bartlett said, Rowie, it's raining and we need somebody to teach group exercise, to teach aerobics to the school you're on. You know that feeling you get before you compete? That feeling, that nervous feeling when you have to do a routine in front of somebody? 450 people hated me. And I clearly remember walking up the stairs, there's about 3 or 4 stairs on the stage, and this was my moment. Now I'm teaching group exercise to the whole school and they're going to pay me $25 to do it. And they did. And I taught my first class and my second class and my 10th class. You know when you do something over and over and over again, you get really good at it because you've practiced it over and over? Cut a very long story short, I didn't just become an exercise instructor. I became a gym manager at 18. Oh, actually, I'll go back one step before that. Parents in the room, this is not, I can't tell you I'm proud of this story, I'm just telling you my story, it's the truth. I ran away from home. I was 14 and 9 months. And I ran away from home because I wanted to be an exercise instructor and my family weren't real supportive of that. So I got on a train and I went from Melbourne to Sydney. And I knew that I wanted to teach exercise. So I went looked at all the gyms that I wanted to work at perhaps. I wasn't even 15 yet. And I found the gym that I wanted to work at. And I'm sharing this story with everybody because I reckon there's a time in your life when you thought you couldn't do it or you weren't good enough or you were too young, too old, too short, too fat, too something. Well, I was certainly too young. And I was certainly too inexperienced because I had only ever taught group exercise at my school. But I found the gym that I wanted to work at. And I went straight to the aerobic coordinator and I said, I'd like to work here, please. And she laughed at me. How old are you? 12, she said. I said, no, I'm 14 and 9 months. Isn't it funny how when we're younger we add time on, when we're older we never say I'm 51 and 9 months. So she said, don't be ridiculous, you're too young, you can't work here, you've got no experience. I said, I have got experience, I've taught aerobics at my school. She said, no, it doesn't matter, go away. I said, no, how about this? I'll work for free. Now she had why would you do that? So she stopped and listened. I said, I'll work for free. And not only will I work for free, but I'll teach all the classes that nobody else wants to teach. There must be some of those. And if you've ever been to a gym before, you'll know that there's some classes that are really busy. Monday night, 6 o'clock class, always really busy. Sunday morning class, not so busy. Rainy, cold, Thursday night, late night shopping night, not so busy. So I said, give me all the classes that nobody wants to teach and I'll teach them for free. Now I had her attention. She said, why would you do that? I said, well, I'll do a deal with you. Let's work out, and I wasn't very good at maths, because remember I didn't even finish year 10 at school, I'd run away from home. So, but let's work out the average number of people that come to each one of those classes that nobody wants to teach. So it was a pretty simple process. We just added up the number of people that attended for a year, divided it by 52, and we came up with the average number of people that... See, I'm not very good at maths, but I figured that out pretty quickly. And here's what happened. She said to me, Sunday morning class, the average is 3 people. So that means sometimes nobody comes. If you know averages at all, that means most of the time nobody comes. And every so often there might be 5 or 6 people, sometimes there's 10 people, but mostly it's, the average number is 3. She said, if you teach that class for free, you can have it. Awesome. I had my first class. How well do you think I prepared for my first class? Hours and hours. Don't you practice for hours and hours when you want something? Like I was the best grade 1 in the world because I practiced. Now I rock up for my first class, guess what? 3 people there. Awesome. Now the deal that I did with the class though was if there was more than the average, that they would give me $1 for every extra person. You got that? So the average for this class was 3, and my first class, how many people were there?
3.
How much money did I earn?
None.
Nothing. However, there's more to that story than that. Because what I want to share with you is how you can be good at anything that you do. You have to be passionate about it, you have to want to do it, you have to be the best in the world at it. You've got all of that, but write that down. You have to want to do it. You have to want it. How much do you have to want it? I had to want it because I had to eat. That was a pretty good reason. But I really wanted to do this for my career. I didn't want to be a lawyer, I wanted to be a group exercise instructor. You have to be passionate about it. How easy is it to train when you want to train, when you love it? It's pretty easy, isn't it? It's hard to train when you don't want to. When you love it, it's easy to train. So you have to be really passionate about it. And I'm going to add another one in there. This is maybe for the folks at the back. You have to want to do it for free. The job that you're doing at the moment, if somebody said we're going to stop paying you tomorrow, would you still go? And for most people the answer is no. They're doing a job because it pays the bills. Well, I'm really privileged. I learnt very early that that's not a good reason to go to work. The best reason to go to work is to do something that you really love, that you really want to do, that you're really passionate about. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's what happened. I arrived early for my class, and the 3 people that walked in, I learnt their names. I also found out what their favourite fruit was, what their favourite drink was, what their favourite lollies were, and what their favourite... Now, anybody that goes to a gym now, I encourage you to consider the experience that you've had at a health club or a gym in your personal experience. Because people say to me it's really difficult to be successful in the fitness profession, there's no money in it, you can't have a career, it's not possible. A lot of people say that to me. It's the wrong person to say that to. Because when you learn people's name and you find out what kind of drink they like and what kind of fruit they like to eat and what kind of lollies they like and what kind of music they like, no, this is what happened. I taught my class, and I'd been practicing, and I taught this, I think, a really great class to the 3 people. Have you ever been or experienced at a gym where there's only been 2 or 3 people in the class and you can tell the instructor doesn't want to be there because there's only 2 or 3 people in the class? It's like, oh, I have to do it anyway, but even though it's only 2 or 3 people. Is that the right attitude? I was so happy to have those 3 people there, and they knew it. I was so excited about being there. I had goosebumps. I wrote them a personal handwritten note. And in those days, there was no computer at the front desk at the gym. I actually had to go through a box of cards and find their name with their address and telephone number on it. And I wrote them a personal handwritten note. Thank you for coming to my class. Please come again next week. And please bring a friend. One of the guys, there was 2 ladies and 1 guy. The guy that came to my class, his favourite music was Engelbert Humperdinck. None of you have heard of him, have you? Do you know what's really funny? He's playing at the Bruce Mason Centre in Auckland in about 2 months' time. He's coming to New Zealand. He's got to be 107. Now, the favourite music of this guy, I didn't have any favourite Engelbert Humperdinck songs, and I didn't have an album because back then there was no streaming and there was no Spotify and there weren't even any singles. I had to buy the best of Engelbert Humperdinck. I think it was like $11.99. I had to buy the album, which I then taped onto a tape, so that when he came to my class the next week, guess what was playing? We grapevine to Engelbert Humperdinck, didn't we? Woohoo! And the favourite songs of the other 2 people that were in my class. Now, the next week I had 4 people. So how much did I earn? Oh, not really, because I had to buy the Engelbert Humperdinck album. And I paid for the stamps for the 3 letters that I sent out to my people to thank them for coming to my class. And I didn't buy lollies for everybody, but every week I had the favourite lolly of each person. So this week we're having bananas because they're Mrs. Jones's favourite lollies, or we're having raspberries because they're Mr. Smith's favourite lollies, and we have a jar of lollies at the end of the class. And I also got really inspired by learning stuff, don't you? I really wanted to be able to not just give people a workout, but I wanted to give their head a workout as well. And I'm sharing this with you. I was now probably 15 by this stage. So at the end of my class, I did this little chat, just a bit like I'm doing now. I'd say, so you want to lose weight, you want to get fit, here's how to do it. Now, I probably didn't have very good knowledge because there was no fitness courses back then. As you know, Ashley's a graduate of our college. There were no colleges back then, there were no qualifications back then. Remember, I'm over 50. So I probably didn't know very much, but I passionately didn't know very much. I passionately wanted to help the people in my class. So to cut that very long story short, my class went from 4 people to 40 people to 104 people to 140 people. Now, those of you who can work out the money there real quick, there were some really top-end aerobic instructors at my gym that were earning $30 a class because they taught the Monday night class at 6 o'clock that was the busiest. Guess whose class they wanted to teach now? I wasn't like I could move particularly well, or I wasn't a great exercise instructor. But I was the most passionate, and I was the most enthusiastic, and I played people's music, and I made sure that I had their drink and their lollies, and I absolutely loved what I did. So now everybody wants to teach my class. That's how my career path started, which is the next part of the story that I wanted to share with you, which is I applied for a position in a health club. They wanted somebody over 30 with experience to run the gym, be the boss of the gym. I was 18 with no experience, but I applied anyway. Wouldn't you? If it was something you were really excited about. Ken Burke, his name was the manager of the gym. He said to me, "How old are you, 12? I said, "No, I'm 18. He said, "You can't run a gym." I said, "I probably can't, but you'll teach me, won't you?" And he gave me the opportunity. He sent me to management school straight away. He said, "You need to learn some stuff, young lady." And I started running health clubs when I was 18. And I'm here today because I'm a bit like a unicorn. Do you know what that is? It's a mythical creature that people think doesn't exist. But when you find one, you should capture it and study it, which is why I got you to bring your pen and paper. Because there's very few people like me that I've ever met that their whole life they've never had a lousy, stinking, rotten job. They've never had to go to work. They just do what they love to do. And I'm going to explain all of that real quickly. When you've got a job, just over broke is what that stands for. You're doing something you don't really want to do. When you go to work, it's usually something that you don't want to do. See, ironing, I don't like ironing. I think that's work. So when I'm ironing, I'd rather be somewhere else. For most people, that's what work is. They're thinking of, they're at work, but they're thinking about being somewhere else because they hate their job. They don't like what they're doing for a living. And I don't want that for any of you. If you haven't got a job yet and you're still at school, I really don't want you to go and do anything that you're not really passionate about. It's the main reason I'm here. It's the main reason I have a college. College is to make sure that you have a career that you love and never a job that you don't. So what I want to share with you now, please write, and this should be really easy, in big letters, write the word sport, S-P-O-R-T. Is that a good word for the people in this room? Come on! Let's see it. What sports do we have represented? So we've got gymnastics and we've got sports aerobics. What else have we got? What other sports have we got represented? We've got rugby league with Jonesy. Oh, sorry, rugby union with Jonesy. Oh my goodness. Rugby, I'll stay safe there. What other sports have we got? Football, as in soccer? Yes. What else? What other sports have we got represented? Trampolining, I would imagine. Yes. K-Man's a 4th Dan black belt in Taekwondo, so we've got martial arts represented. What other sports have we got? Netball. Softball. So we've got a broad range of sport, yeah? So what I'm about to share with you should be pretty easy to remember because I want you to relate it back to the word sport. Is that good? All right. So now I'm going to ask you some really adult questions because I very clearly, obviously, remember being 13. So you're going to become very mature and pretend that you're 13. Okay, Rosie, is that good? These are the mature questions that I asked myself at 13. I'm going to ask you those same questions. Now, I asked them before, but this is really serious now. What do you love to do? Now, you don't have to write it down if you don't want to, but I want you to at least write the question. What do you love to do? What do you really love to do? I could put it differently. What are you really passionate about? What are you excited about? What puts you on fire? How's that? What lights you on fire? Do you like that? What do you want to be really good at? Even if you're not good at it, what do you want to be good at? And if you are really good at it, write that down. But what do you want to be really good at? And it doesn't have to be a sport, but if it is your sport, write it down. What do you want to be really good at? If you don't have to answer the question now if you don't want to, but please write down the question, if not the answer. What do you want to be really good at? Drawing, painting, singing, dancing, architecture, be a doctor, be a rocket scientist, whatever it is. What do you want to be really good at? I want to be a police person. I want to be here's a really cool one, because I chat a lot in schools now. And I have a lot of people who say to me that they'd like to be a singer. But here's what always comes after. I'd like to be a singer, but I can't sing. I have a small challenge with that. How many rock stars do you know that can't sing? Just say lots, Rowie. Do you know there's a lot of rock stars, not only they can't sing, but when you watch them on stage, they're actually not even singing. They're just pretending. And we still go and watch them, and we pay hundreds of dollars to go and watch them pretend to sing. So if somebody tells you that you can't be a rock star because you can't sing, should that be an excuse? Just say no, Rowie. Absolutely not. So what do you love to do? What are you really passionate about? What do you want to be really good at? And then I'm going to ask you, this is a really adult question. Because I asked myself this question at 13. Where do you want to put value into your world? And I'll share that, the reason I ask you that question. When I was 13, chubby, pimply face, you know those horrible pimples that are yellow on the end and make you look really ugly? I had a heap of those on my face. And I looked myself in the mirror and I said, Rowie, you feel fantastic when you exercise. Don't you want to make every other little 13-year-old girl feel the same as you do? And I knew, that's why I knew that even if I didn't have the support of my family or my friends or my school, that I wanted to teach exercise for a living because I knew how good it made me feel. I knew that I could add value to my world. And that's why I'm a unicorn, because I've been doing that all of my life. I've never had a job, I've never been to work, I've never done anything that I didn't like to do. My whole life I went from group exercise instructing to running a gym to being a personal trainer to managing health clubs all over the world. And now we have colleges that teach people to have a career that they love and not a job that they don't. Isn't that a cool life? Just say yes, Rowie. So now I'm over 50 and I'm still loving every day of my life because I'm doing what I'm absolutely passionate about, what I wanted to be really good at, and where I knew I could add value. And you only have to ask people, how are you today, for them to tell you, not too bad, wish it was Friday, wish it was still school holidays, to know that they're not really adding much value to their work because they're not really enjoying what they're doing. Would that be fair? And I'm asking you, don't do that with your life. I'm asking you to do what you're passionate about, do what you really want to be the best at, and how can you add massive value to the world? So, how does that relate to the word sport? When I was 13, I set a goal that said this. This is why being now over 50 is a really interesting experience. I said from 13 to 50, I'm going to set a really realistic goal. Have you heard that? Does actually say that to you? You should have realistic goals. Yeah. So my realistic goal was that from 13 to 50, I was going to lose weight, get into great shape, get really healthy, fit, and strong. I was going to have a career that I loved, so I was going to be an aerobic instructor for a living. I was going to be so good at it and add so much value to people's lives that I would become wealthy from it. And I wanted to be wealthy so I could help as many people as I possibly can, and I share that with you because Ashley knows this as well. My mum didn't like me to have animals. My mum thought the dogs were dirty. We have 4 dogs at our house and they sleep on our bed with us. And I share that with you because I was passionate about puppy dogs and I wanted to be able to help as many puppy dogs as I possibly could. So my charity of choice is the RSPCA in Australia and the SPCA here in New Zealand. I set a goal at 13 that I wanted to help as many animals as I possibly could. That was something I just really wanted to be able to do, and you can't do that if you haven't got any money. So I wanted to raise a lot of money so I could be able to do that with my life. So the challenge I had was this. At 13, I had to go and find some unicorns. Thought I'll do my research and I'll have a look at how many people over 50, because that was my realistic goal, from 13 to 50, that I would do all of those things. So I'll go and talk to some 50-year-old people and see how to do it and get inspired by them. So I started asking some 50-year-old people, you must be really happy, you must have a career that you love, you must be in great shape, you must have a great relationship, you've travelled the world, had an awesome life. Those of you that we chatted about before about competing in America in the sports aerobics. You must have done all of that with your life, you're over 50. Oops. Do you know how many 50-year-old people, which is now why I say I want you to be 50 years young, yeah? All of you people who are under 50, you ready for this? I'm going to be 50 years young. Say it, I'm going to be 50 years young. Now here comes the next one. And I'm going to be sexy at 60. So 50 years young, sexy at 60, superb at 70, awesome at 80, never give up at 90, and happy and healthy at 100. Woohoo! And plus. Does that sound good? And this is why that happened, because I asked too many 50-year-old people, how are you? And they'd say, I'm a bit fat and I hate my job and my husband's an arse and so's my boss. And they weren't very happy. So now I'm challenging you. And you're my 13-year-old, so I'm challenging you. And you're pretending to be 13 today, so I'm challenging you as well. You ready? when you're over 50 like me, and a little 13-year-old girl comes to you and she says, is it possible to be healthy, fit and strong and have a career that you love and support the causes that you're passionate about? Is it possible to do that with your life? What are you going to say? Ready? Here's the answer. Hell yes! How's it go? Hell yes! Because you have to set the example. You are the future leaders of our world. Every single one of you is the future leader of our world. And that's why this word, we're about to get there, the word sport is so important. Because how many of you have ever been inspired by somebody in sport? Oh, come on. How many of you watched Olympic Games and be inspired by Olympians? How many of you have watched a rugby All Blacks game and be inspired? Yes or no? How many of you have watched it? And this week, because I knew I was coming here, I've been introduced to this amazing young woman called Simone Biles. Heard of her? Yeah? She's a particularly good gymnast. Quite good. Olympic gold good. Yeah. And I will share with you, just before we go into the word sport, is that when I was your age, Nadia Comaneci was the gymnast. And I'm saying this in absolute, I can only go from my heart to yours, to expect that a dark-skinned girl from America was going to be that good at gymnastics. I've got goosebumps because I've been watching her all week. She blows my mind. And you know what else I'm really excited about? She's a solid, strong girl. Gymnastics, I've got goosebumps, you can tell. Gymnastics used to be about little girls having to be skinny all the time, and it's all about this thing with your headspace. I've got to be skinny, I've got to look a certain way. And now gymnastics has become this look strong and look fit and look solid, and I love it. And she's the gold medalist right now. Do you ever get inspired by people like that? I obviously do. Sport's my biggest inspiration. So I want to share with you why this is such an important word and why I would love for us all to remember it. The letter S. Please write down these simple words. What do I stand for? And question mark. You personally, write it down. What do I stand for? What do I stand for? And regardless of what sport you're excited about, or regardless of what you want to do with your life, which do you think is more important, who you are or what you do? What will determine what you do? Who you are. And what I'm asking each one of you to do as future leaders of our world is that what you stand for, who you are, is the most important thing that you could ever do with your whole life. And I decided at 13. Now, it wasn't until I was 18 at that management conference this was given to me. I'm going to share with you a very special gift that was given to me. At that management conference that my first boss sent me to, he said, Rowie, I want you to learn some stuff, and this is the big thing I learned. Who are you was the question. Good question. Who are you? And I could have said, I am Rowie Cesare. No. And the question was asked, pick 5 words to describe yourself as a person. So people were talking about you. If you wanted a reputation, if you wanted people to write something about you, what would the words be that you would want them to say about you? And I got that pretty quick. I wrote down straight away, and so I was 18 when I did this. Tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined, professional. Now I'm a bit of an extra mile person, so I got 2 words onto one thumb. So tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined and professional were my 5 words. That's who I wanted to be. Now I wasn't at the time, but that's who I decided I was going to be. Now really interesting, when you make a decision, it's pretty easy after that, don't you think? And I didn't have to make decisions anymore. Because every single day that I woke up, and to this day, all I asked myself was this: what would a tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined, professional person do? So when I say to you that I've exercised every single day of my life since I was 13, and I was talking about unicorns, people think that's a bit weird. How could you possibly have exercised every single day of your life since you were 13? I'm now over 50. The answer is this, because what does a tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined, professional person do? Do they lie in bed or they get up and exercise? See, that's who I am. I'm an exercise professional, so what do I do every day? I exercise. Here's another interesting one. Discipline is a word. We use it a lot, don't we? Well, this is where this exercise becomes really interesting, because the next part of the exercise was, Rowie, you're sitting here at the conference, so you're all here sitting here with me. You might come up with some words to describe yourself. Mine were tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined, professional. The second part of the exercise, though, was that we're all sitting here, but somebody from the New Zealand, somebody from the New Zealand detective squad is going to your house right now. And you've told us that you're tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined, professional. And I'll give you an even better scenario. Let's just say somebody wants to sponsor you to go to the next World Championships. That sound good? How much would you need roundabout?
8,000.
We'll go to the top end. 10,000 because you want to do some shopping and you want to have a look at it. Yeah. So you need $10,000 to go to the next World Championships. You like that? And somebody has offered to give you $10,000 to go. Is that good? Yes? And you put together a proposal that they've said yes on. So they've said yes, we want to send you and we're going to give you $10,000 based on this proposal. And I haven't got your words yet, so I'll just use mine. On your proposal, you've told this person that you're tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined and professional. That's what you put on your application, your resume, your CV, yeah? They've said yes, we'll send you to the World Champs. But the person who's going to give you the money has got a friend in the New Zealand detective program. And they've said, look, this Rowie girl, she wants to go to the World Championships. And she says she's tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined and professional. We just want to make sure that she is. So could you just check up on her? So what they're going to do is they're going to go to my house right now and I'm not there. Because they're the police. And they're going to have a look at the outside of my house and my garden. And they're going to have a look inside my house. Did I make my bed? Now if I didn't make my bed, would somebody think I was disciplined if I hadn't made my bed? Come on, answer the question. This is awkward and uncomfortable, but actually didn't invite me because it was going to be comfortable. I've told somebody that I'm tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined and professional. They walk into my bedroom and my bed's not made. What would they be thinking? Ooh, that doesn't quite match, does it? Mm-hmm. So then they're going to have a look at my toothbrush, they're going to have a look at the third drawer in my kitchen, they're going to have a look at the last 500 websites that I visited, they're going to have a look at my library, my music collection, my Facebook friends, and because they're the police, guess what else they can do now? Even everything that I've taken down off social media, deleted, don't want in my life anymore, guess what they can still have a look at? Every nasty comment I've ever made, every photo I've ever posted, everything I've ever done in my life that I've put on social media, even if I've pulled it down, deleted it, guess what the police can do? Not just the police, Facebook can do it. They can see what you've done. Everything. They're going to have a look in your sock drawer, see if all your socks are matched up. They're going to have a look at your shoes and see if they're shiny. And see how you fold your clothes. How are you feeling? Do you know how uncomfortable I was when I did this? Because I said tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined, professional. And I'm thinking, please don't go visit my house. On that particular day, if the police had gone to my house that day, inside my fridge they would have found some green cordial and a rotten banana. That was the contents of my fridge that day. Do you think they're going to be looking in my fridge thinking there's a positive, stylish, disciplined, professional person lives here? So that was really easy, and I'm hoping you feel a little bit uncomfortable for a reason. Because I was 18 when this happened, but I decided from that day forward that I was never going to feel uncomfortable like that again. I wanted my entire life to be open to the world. Whether it was the FBI or the CSI or the police or my clients or my members or my boss, or it doesn't matter. I want you to come into my life and have a look, and I'm going to find, you're going to find, I'm going to be a tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined, professional person. So if you want to give me $10,000 to go to the World Championships, and I've told you that I'm tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined, professional, guess what? That's what you're going to find, because that's who I've decided to be. Does that sound good? So S stands for what do you stand for, who are you? And I'm asking you to make that decision. It's a tough decision to make when you're 13, but I know that it can be done because I did it, and you're just going to have to raise the bar a couple of years, okay? Obviously, P stands for passion. Somebody tells you have to come to training at a certain time, you have to come to training a certain number of times during the week. You have to do X number of exercises, you have to learn X number of drills, you have to learn X number of routines. It's really hard work, isn't it? No. Because when you're passionate about something, it's no longer hard work, you want to do it. I'll give you a couple of classic examples. Have you heard of a basketball player called Kobe Bryant? Does anybody know who that is? If you haven't heard of him, it doesn't matter. It's a great story. He was told he wasn't particularly good at basketball. He plays high school basketball, wasn't particularly good, but he wanted to be the best in the world. Why? Because he was passionate about basketball. So he looked at all the weaknesses in his game and he picked them out himself. I know that I'm not good at shooting. I know that I'm not good at defending. I know I'm not good at the rebound. So you ready for this? 2,000 hoops a day. 2,000 hoops a day till he got good at shooting. Now, I'm not particularly excited about basketball, but I reckon if I shot 2,000 hoops a day, I'd get good at basketball. How about you? But if you are passionate about it, does it feel like 2,000 hoops a day? No, I'm getting ready for my career. 2,000 rebounds. All the things that he wasn't good at, he just did thousands and thousands of them. Do you get good at it then? Just say yes, Rowie. But it's only hard work if you're not passionate about it. If you're really passionate about it, it's easy. Does that make sense? I practiced every single one of my classes and I taught group exercise as a career for 23 years. Now, most people would say after 23 years, surely, Rowie, you can wing a couple of classes. I never won, for such a word I don't know, but I never won any classes ever. Every single one of my classes had a routine, because back then there was no Les Mills, there was no pre-choreography. I choreographed every single one of my own classes. And I taught 15 classes in the same gym every week, so I had a lot of the same people coming to my classes all of the time. So I couldn't give them the same class over and over. And if I had my biggest class then was a terrific day Tuesday evening, and I'll share with you in a minute why it's a terrific day. And I would practice for 2 hours every terrific day afternoon to get the choreography right, to make sure that that class was the best it could possibly be. And I was doing that for 23 years. Did it feel like hard work? Because I was passionate about it. It's easy. So what does S stand for? What do you stand for? What does P stand for? Okay, O is outcome. What is the outcome that you want from your life, from your sport? I'm going to give you a couple of awesome examples. You want to win the national championships. Just say yes, even if you don't, just say yes. Is that the outcome? Now you've got an outcome, yeah? Now you've got something to focus on. I want to win the national championships. Easy, because who you are and what you stand for and you're passionate about it. Now you've got the outcome in mind, now you can focus on it. The thing I love the most about the Olympic Games, how often do Olympic Games come around? I watched an interview with Simone Biles on the way here, and the interviewer asked her, have you started learning Japanese yet? Because where's the next Olympics? Interesting, because there's 4 years between Olympic Games. That's a long time to stay focused, isn't it? But when you've got an outcome, it's easy. This is what I want to do. This old guy in the back here with the red shirt, he says to me, I'm going to go back and do some Taekwondo, martial arts, yeah? Now, we'd been married for, I think, 18 years at the time, and I'd had no clue that he'd ever done Taekwondo. In 18 years, I'd never seen him in pyjamas, he'd never been to a dojang. There was no hint of Taekwondo. I said, what do you mean go back to Taekwondo? And he said, yeah, I'm a third dan in Taekwondo, I might go back. And I said, what for? And he said, to win world championships. He was 49 at the time, or 48. Hello? Outcome world championships. You're not 12 anymore, you're 48. He stands here now, 16 times world champion. He had 20 odd years off his sport and said, no, I'm on. Now, this is really interesting. He's just gone back to judo. He's a brown belt in judo. And I said, oh, good, we're going around the world again now, travelling, because we have to win some more world championships in judo. I'm sharing this with you because when you're passionate about something and you have an outcome, is it easy to train? Just say yes, Rowie. If you want to go to the Olympic Games, who's going to stop you? Just say nobody, Rowie. Because here's what I'm sick of hearing, and I will share with you as passionately as I possibly can. I'm sick of hearing people tell you that you can't do it. I've heard this about gymnastics in New Zealand. I've certainly heard this about lots of other sports in New Zealand, but this week about gymnastics. Nobody from New Zealand's ever going to do well in gymnastics. Don't you just want to prove them wrong? Haven't you just heard enough of that rubbish? You can do whatever you decide to do as long as you set the outcome. Now, the beautiful thing about Olympic Games, you can focus now for 4 years national championships, world championships, Olympic games, what is the outcome that you want from your sport? Now, it might be that you just want to lose some weight, tone up, feel better about yourself, go to the gym. That's an outcome. So set the outcome, but don't let anybody steal that outcome from you. Do you promise? Somebody tells you you're too tall, too short, too fat, too skinny, too young, too inexperienced. It's just not true. I just listened to an interview with Michael Jordan. Have you heard of him? Also a basketballer, reasonably famous basketballer. If you get a chance, listen to his Hall of Fame speech. Everything about that speech. He's now in the Basketball Hall of Fame for the world. And every time somebody told him he wasn't good enough, it was the driving force for him to get better. Every time a coach picked somebody else instead of him, it was the driving force to get better. Because his outcome was to be the best in the world. And you can too, you just have to set what your outcome is. Do you like that? We're nearly finished. R stands for respect, but there's 3 kinds of respect. How many kinds? 3. Now, the first part of respect is respect for yourself. Please write that down. Even if it doesn't, it feels foreign, write this down. I respect myself. If you respect yourself, let's ask a question. What kind of food will you eat? Will you put rubbish food into your body if you have respect for your own body? Just say no, Rowie. How hard will you train if you have respect for your sport? If you have respect for your team players, how hard will you train? For your own self-respect, how hard will you train? How much sleep will you get? Instead of a big long, and this is maybe for some parents in the room, you've got a big long to-do list that you can't possibly do because you haven't got that many hours in the day, and you get to the end of the day and then you beat yourself up because you haven't done everything on your to-do list. Is that respectful of yourself or your own time? Just say no, Mama. If we all have self-respect, we'll look after ourselves. Does that make sense? Yep. The next respect is for other people. When you go to the World Championships, my girls who are going to America, we've already decided that, haven't we? Will you compete against other people from different countries? Yes or no? With different religions? With different cultural experiences? Yes or no? People aren't all the same as what they are in New Zealand. There's people with different coloured skin, there's people who are tall and short and fat and skinny, and different religions and different cultures. But when you compete with somebody else, you want to be respectful of everybody. Just say yes, Rowie. When you're on a team, you have to be respectful of yourself, but who else do you want to be respectful of? So you're going to train hard for yourself, but who else are you going to train hard for? What about your coach? What about those people who put in a really hard effort? Your parents, the people who want to make you really good at what you do. They want the best for you. Do you respect them? I'm going to give you an example. I was told that I was too big to run marathon and too small to do bodybuilding. And I was told in the same year, somebody said to me, Rowie, you're just far too big to run marathon and you're far too small to do bodybuilding. So I did both in the same year. I like to take on a challenge. It's one of the challenges I've got though. After 21 marathons, nothing's changed. Have you ever seen a marathon run or a fun run? You know when people are running in an event? And there's these amazing people there handing out drinks in cups. Have you seen that? How disrespectful is it that people have a drink out of a cup and then throw it on the ground? After a fun run, after a marathon, after a run, there's this filth everywhere. What makes you think that you're so important that you can drop your paper cup on the ground? I think that's really disrespectful of the town that's running the event. Beautiful Queenstown, it's one of the most beautiful marathons in the world. It's a mess after the marathon runners have left. I think that's disgusting, don't you? It's disrespectful of the town. What about the environment? I've been with my husband, he's a very top-end competitor. We've gone to all the world championships in the last 4 or 5 years. Whether there's 500 people at a championships or we went to the World Karate Championships last year in Orlando, Florida, there was 10,000 competitors. Can you imagine? Whether there's 500 or 10,000 competitors, the third respect is respect your environment, yeah? I've been to the bathroom where there's been 500 competitors and I've been to the bathroom where there's been 10,000 competitors, and guess what? It's always the same disgusting mess. Here's Rowie running around the bathroom at the Disney Hotel in Orlando, picking up paper off the floor and toilet paper out of the toilets and hair out of the sink, because I don't want the people at Disneyland to think that Taekwondo people are disrespectful. You know, in Taekwondo, one of the tenets of Taekwondo is respect. It's one of the tenets of the sport. And yet they think it's okay to go to the bathroom. I don't know, I didn't finish year 10, so I didn't have very good schooling. But I was taught at school that where does rubbish go? It goes in the rubbish bin, yeah? Wherever you go as an elite athlete, as a human being, the person that you stand for, what do you want the place to look like after you leave? And I'm asking you, please, you come from this beautiful northern with me today, that when we come over the hill to come here, we actually turn our clocks back 1 hour because it's a little bit slower up here, because it's nice and quiet. When you travel the world as elite athletes from Whangarei, don't you want the reputation of being the team who are the most respectful? The team who are the cleanest and the tidiest and the nicest to everybody? I'm going to smile at you, ready? And you have to smile back. You see, when you travel internationally, you might not be able to speak the language, but everybody smiles. Every country you go to, when you smile, it's a universal language. Don't you just want to be known as the happiest team that ever competed? So stick a smile on your dial. Do you love what you do? I often say this to runners. Do you love exercising? Do you love running? And they usually go, yeah. And I go, well, could you inform your face? At the gym, have you watched people at the gym? Do you like exercise? Yeah. Could you inform your face? Looks like you're undergoing torture or something. See, and this is what was so exciting when I came in here today. All of you were moving around and you had this amazing big happy smiley faces. Now there's two reasons why that happens. One is I imagine that you love what you're doing. Would that be fair? Number two is you can't help it. When you exercise, you're pumping happy drugs through your brain. This is my new favourite word for 2019. I learned it in 2018. Brain-derived neurotropic factors. Do you like that? Brain-derived neurotropic factors. It's a happy drug that pumps through your brain when you exercise. And I'm sharing that with you because my father died of Alzheimer's and he never should have, because when you're pumping brain-derived neurotropic factors through your brain, you actually don't get Alzheimer's, and that's from intense hard exercise. So you can see the benefits of exercise. Pretty exciting. I'm sharing that with you because if you love what you do, I want you to consciously stick that expression on your face. Please. So what are the 3 R's? Respect for who? Yourself. I can't wait. I'm going to watch the news, and it's going to be on what's the news hub, and they're going to say the sports aerobics team and gymnastics team from Whangarei competed in the World Championships and have been recognised as the most respectful team to ever compete in the world. They respect themselves, they respect their environment, they respect all the people they come in contact with. How does that sound? I'm going to go, yes! They're the people. Okay, last sport is training. The last letter is training. And there's 3 kinds of training. So there's 3 kinds of respect. What are they? Respect for? Respect for? Respect for? 3 kinds of training. The least important training, sorry Ash, the least important training is the training that you do here. Because it's easy. You have to come, there's a training time, there's a coach, the rest of the team has to be here, and if you want to be on the team, you have to come to training, yes or no? Now, it's not that hard to get motivated when the coach says you have to be here, when the rest of the team's expecting you to be here, when mum and dad drive you to be here. It's pretty easy to come to training, isn't it? It's important though, isn't it? Because how can you get good at what you do if you don't train with your team? So it's not that it's not important, it's just the least important of the other 2. So I need you to make a commitment. Turn to the person next to you and just say, yes, I'm committed to training with you. Thank you. I'm committed to training with you. And is it possible that there are some people that they think about not coming, but they go, oh, I better go because Rowie's expecting me to go. I better go because if I don't go, my friend might not go. And then, have you ever had that experience? I often hear this with women because I've been working obviously in the fitness profession all of my life. A woman will say, I was going to go for a walk, but my friend didn't go, so I didn't go either. Well, there's a couple of things wrong with that, but don't be the friend that doesn't show up, is what I'm asking, yeah? Be the team player, that if you make a commitment to training, who's coming to training? We're all coming to training, yeah? Okay, so the training that you do with your team, very important, but there's 2 other kinds of training. You ready? It's the training you do on your own. The physical training that you do on your own. Now, if you were in television, you will have heard this expression called prime time. If you wanted to put an ad on television for active attitude, it would cost the most to put on television in prime time, which is when everybody's watching television. Does that make sense? So if you want to put an ad on telly in prime time, it's expensive because that's when the most people are watching television. So if all of your competitors, all the other teams, are watching television in prime time, what should you be doing? And I'm not coming at you from any other position than the best athletes in the world will tell you that when everybody else is resting, that's when they're training. I'll give you a couple of great examples. Michael Jordan's a particular fan of mine because he's known as the best in the world, and now he's well over 50 and he's a a billionaire. He's earning more from his sport now than when he was playing his sport. Now, that's not about the money. Why do you think he's earning so much money now? Let's go back to those three things. Do you think he did what he was the most passionate about his whole life? Did he want to be the best in the world at it? Did he become the best in the world at it? Does he add massive value to people's lives? People wouldn't buy Air Jordan shoes unless they really wanted to buy Air Jordan shoes, which means those shoes must be adding value to their life. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's a Michael Jordan story. There was a reporter in Chicago that wanted to do a story on the Chicago Bulls, and he finally, after trying, finally Phil Knight said, all right, you can come and do an interview with the Chicago Bulls. So they go to a restaurant and all the team's there, the coach is there, all the team's there. But if you're going to do an interview with the Chicago Bulls, who do you really want to interview? Michael Jordan, he's not there. So the reporter says to the coach, where's Michael Jordan? And the coach said it just like, where do you think he is? He's on the court shooting hoops. Everyone else is having dinner. Where's Michael? Still shooting hoops. Cristiano Ronaldo. Wow. I'm not even a fan of soccer, but I'm a real fan of Cristiano Ronaldo. Big fan. And he often gets criticised, which is something we're going to talk about to finish off with today, but he often gets criticised. There's websites that hate Cristiano Ronaldo. Who do you think you are, is often asked. You earn so much money, who do you think you are? And he's got this beautiful answer. If you had kicked the soccer ball as many times as I have, you too would earn as much money as I do. He's been doing soccer for much longer, much younger than you even. He wanted to play football his entire life. He said to his parents, to his mother, please mum, I'm going to be the best soccer player in the world. And he said it in Portuguese, so it probably didn't translate exactly like that. But I'm sharing that with you because he knew what he wanted to do. And he's been doing it his whole life. If you've got that inside you, I don't want anybody to take that dream away from you. So training becomes easy because you're passionate about it. So there's a training you do with your team, there's a training you do by yourself. Cristiano Ronaldo's story is exactly the same. Where's Cristiano? He's out. After the game is over, where is Cristiano? Out training. Everyone else has gone home and he's still out kicking the ball. So the training you do by yourself. But here's the third and most important training. When you train with your team, do you ever make mistakes? Fall over, screw up? Yes or no? Yep. When you train by yourself, do you ever feel like quitting, it's really hard, you stop, you make a mistake, yes or no? Yes. There's a place that you'll never make a mistake in training. When you practice your routine inside your head over and over and over, you don't practice making mistakes, do you? When you're practicing your routine in your head, you practice perfect. Does that make sense? So the most important training you can ever do is the training that you do in your head. Now, I have got no understanding about sports aerobics or gymnastics because I taught classes. However, I've run 21 marathons, and a lot of people think that's a difficult thing to do, but it really isn't, because I was given this great advice. When the gun goes off, you start running, and when you run under the finish line, you stop running. It's easy. And in my head, every single time I run marathon, in my head I've run the perfect race. The gun goes off, I start running, and I run under the finish line, and it's the perfect time, and in my head, it's been perfect every single time. So the training that you do inside your head, nobody can make a mistake, nothing can happen. You can make it perfect inside your head. Now, there's a really interesting example of that from a psychology point of view. Prisoners of war who were Americans who played golf, who were then put into Japanese prisoner of war camps, so they were now in jail They couldn't play golf. They were in a little square concrete box and they couldn't play golf. But inside their head, they played 18 rounds of golf every single day. Now, when you're playing, if anyone has ever played golf, golf doesn't usually go perfect. It's usually, lots of things can happen. But when you play golf inside your head, how well do you play golf? Perfect. These guys got out of prisoner of war camp, hadn't played golf for 7 years, and they had a better off-the-stick number than before they went into jail. They were practicing in their head. Now, I'm sharing that story with you for a really important reason. Training with your team, given, really important. Training on your own, if you want to be an elite athlete, given. But often the one that isn't is the one that you do up here. The training you do in your head is the most important. So let's have a look at that word sport. What do you stand for? What are you the most passionate about? What's the outcome you want from your sport? Do you respect yourself? Do you respect your team? Do you respect your environment? And then are you committed to 3 kinds of training? The training you do with your team, the training that you do by yourself, the extra training that you do when nobody else is training, and then the training you do inside your head. Practice perfect makes perfect. Not practice makes perfect. Practice perfect makes perfect. The more time you do it in the head, you get the better you get at it. To finish up, I want to ask you a really important question. This lady over here, how committed do you think she is to all of your success? I've known her for a little while now. She's been like this. She's a graduate of my college a long time ago. We were here on the open day when this beautiful facility opened. And I don't know if you remember, but there used to be Midas mufflers or something, wasn't it? Yeah. And it was gross. And Ashley came in and, with her team, cleaned this beautiful facility up because she wanted you to have a place to train. Today when I watched the Simone Biles interview on YouTube, her parents had built her a magnificent gym. Maybe a little bit bigger than this one, but certainly not any better than this one. And I thought, wow, these parents have built their Olympic athlete daughter a beautiful gym. Well, many years ago, Ashley built this for you. Because she wanted the people, the future leaders of New Zealand, to have a place to exercise and a place to train. So what I'd like you to do every single day is be reminded of why this facility exists and why Ashley's here and why she wants to become the best at what we do. And that's why I'm here today. I wanted to share my story, but I wanted to be here for Ashley because this is just a spectacular place. So thank you all for coming today and thank you for having me.
Awesome. I'd just like to say thank you so much to Rowie and also K-Man. So as I mentioned, about 10 years ago I was a student at the college. And as an 18-year-old, some of you don't know, but I actually started Active Attitude up in my last year of high school as part of the Young Enterprise Scheme. And then I got put on the Young Entrepreneur Program afterwards. And I always had a strong vision of wanting to open up a club where there were certain values and we offered certain opportunities for people that I may not have necessarily got when I was an athlete. So I always had it in my head, but as Rowie mentioned, she had people that were challenging her in her life about, you can't make a career out of this. And when I left as an 18-year-old from Whangarei, coaching in a youth sport full-time as a profession. Okay, so that's why we're so passionate about our young coaches and training program, because that's a starting point for you. You might not go off and be coaches, but you may go off and be teachers or wonderful people doing awesome things out in the community, growing other young leaders and other positive young athletes and human beings. Okay, so my experience with Rowie and K-Man was partway through my uni degree, and I actually went to them because I wanted a little bit more knowledge in how to prescribe exercise, because you can go off and do lots of coaching courses, but there's not lots of information sometimes on the coaching courses about how to look after your bodies. And hands up if you notice that we do a lot of different training than other clubs. So there's certain exercises that are very old school gymnastics, which what do they do to your bodies? Wreck them, okay? And I tell you what happens from your bodies, and I give you some of my own stories as well. So, it's thanks to them that I've got the education that I have to make sure that we're in a sport that was traditionally giving out a whole lot of exercises that could have hurt us when we're older, but you're learning them safely, and if you listen and follow through with that and help each other, you're going to make sure you have amazing fit bodies when you grow older as well. the most important thing I got from Rowie and Caveman's college was that extra belief that yes, I could actually make this a reality, because it is really, really hard if maybe you don't have a family that has followed the same pathway as what you want to follow, or people telling you, no, there's no way you can run a business. So out of the 113, I think, gymnastics clubs in the country, there's only a handful of those that are businesses that will not-for-profits. So there's been a whole lot of challenges that have gone along the way of trying to get this up and going. But yeah, thanks Rowie and thanks Cayman, because if it wasn't for that extra courage of, you know, hearing your story about how you made personal training a career way back in the 80s when it didn't exist, gave me hope and faith that I could also do the same in my profession of coaching. So can we give these two lovely people a big The other thing I want to say to you guys is we often talk in training about taking opportunities when they arise. Have a look at everyone here today. Okay, there's about 40 athletes in our academy program, so our competitive sports program. Okay, everyone had the chance to go out. In fact, I think I sent this information out like a couple of months ago when I first spoke to her about it. As soon as she said yes, boom, that was out to you guys. And then a reminder came a few days later as well. So everyone's had the opportunity. You guys have taken it. We call these our Academy Advantage sessions for a reason, because who's going to get the advantage out of that knowledge? You guys, because you showed up. Okay? Some of you are going to get even more advantage from this session because why? You're going to implement what you've heard today. Some of you are writing lovely notes in your diary and they might stay there. Some of you are going to go back and reflect on what Rowie said today and think, how can I put that into my training? How am I going to be a better athlete and a better person because of what I heard today? And that's your challenge. What are you going to do when you go home tonight? Okay? I'm going to finish off by handing over to our captain and vice captain for our aerobics this year.
They're going to America to compete.
Oh, yes, so good.
I'd just like to say thank you for us athletes and everyone here for coming in and doing about your experience in your life, and we will appreciate taking time off, and I'm sure we'll all go back and reflect on this and improve on what we do.
You're gorgeous.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We appreciate everything. Hopefully most of us, all of us, hopefully, use what we've been shared too. And we knew you loved the SPCA, so we've gathered lots of things here for the SPCA.
Oh, thank you so much.
So
Oh, that's awesome.